So, of course, this week it's the Lions' final game of the 2025-2026 NFL season. A game in Chicago against the Chicago Bears. A game that honestly doesn't have much meaning because Detroit's already eliminated. Chicago already has the NFC North locked up, so this is kind of a meaningless game, to be perfectly honest. And it's a game that starts at 4:25, and it's on America's Game of the Week. Why the fuck is it America's Game of the Week? Honestly, just give that honor to fucking New England, Miami. That game has more fucking meaning on Fox than this shit. But yeah, you would think with Detroit being officially eliminated in this game meaning nothing that it would have gotten a 1 o'clock time slot, but I guess not. And Detroit can't really scoreboard watch in terms of if they'll finish last in the division or not, because Detroit's guaranteed a last place finish in the division if Minnesota beats some Green Bay at 1 o'clock Sunday. And there's a high possibility that happens since Green Bay is supposed to be resting their starters Sunday. So, yeah. So yeah, it's one of those rare times where Detroit can have a winning record and still finish last in the North. That just tells you how tough the NFC North truly is. But anyway, let's get into this game real quick. So, of course, Chicago, they're currently favored in this game by 3 points. However, though, those odds could flip in Detroit's favor if Chicago rests their starters, which I feel like that Chicago should. I mean, you're locked in the playoffs anyway. Like, honestly, I don't think seeding really matters this much this year because here's the thing, though. If you're good enough to win it all, you should be able to win anywhere, anytime in the playoffs, no matter what. No excuses. And honestly, the game doesn't mean anything to Chicago anyway, so they should rest starters. Like, if you're in the playoffs and you have rest starters, if you're in the playoffs and this game means nothing, then you should be resting starters. Like, we've seen before what happens when playoff teams play starters in meaningless games, and usually it results in people getting injured. Chicago, of course, they lead the all-time series against Detroit 105-81-5. However, Detroit has won. Oh, shit. If I say how many meetings Detroit has won recently over Chicago, I'm going to get those stupid brain rot TikTok comments about two certain numbers. Because it says here in the notes, Detroit has won 6 of the last 7 meetings. Aw, damn it, I just triggered the fucking stupid 6-7 brain rot TikTok comments. Okay, I know how to stop that. I know how to solve this problem. Okay, anybody watching this video that comments 6-7, I'm going to respond to every single comment back with 9-11. Maybe that ought to fucking end that. Fucking stupid TikTok brain rot garbage. Anyway, let's get back to football there and ignore TikTok. So, of course, Detroit, they're 3-5 on the road this year. Chicago is 6-1 at home this year. So, yeah. In terms of Chicago's key players, we went over this back in week 2, so just go back to that preview and then come back here. The only main difference in terms of key players is the Bears have now added C.J. Gardner-Johnson since then. And Chicago, honestly, has been more improved since then. Because Chicago, ever since Detroit beat the shit out of Chicago in week 2, the Bears have gone 11-3 since then. Honestly, if anybody wants to blame anybody for Chicago coming out of the doldrums, blame us for giving them belt to ass. Honestly, that might have been the worst thing to happen because now he let the Bears fans and insufferability out from the dead, especially Judah tribes. God damn it. God damn it, we didn't fucking put the stake in Dracula's heart. And now they're back for blood. Fuck. But in terms of key injury notes, wide receiver Roma Duze is questionable for this game with a foot injury. Luther Borden is questionable with a quad injury. And Kyler Gordon's still on the IR with that hamstring, calf, and groin injury. He's dealt with 3 different injuries this year. They did say there's an outside shot that Kyler Gordon could return in the playoffs. Really depends on how far the Bears go. Like, honestly, I think every team in the NFC North this year is a pretender. I could see the Packers and Bears going one and done. Unless the Packers and Bears both face each other in the wild card round, which, if the playoffs started today, that would be a round 1 matchup. And if those two end up being the first round, then that means I have no choice but to break the never root for divisional rival in the playoffs rule. Like, honestly, if it's Green Bay, Chicago in the first round, can I pick both teams to lose, or do I actually have to pick somebody? Because if I had to pick somebody, then I'm going to have to look at both and be like, okay, which one's the lesser of two evils? But we'll discuss that more in the playoff bracket once everything's finalized. In terms of the Bears this year, they have the number 5 ranked offense this year. Holy shit, a Bears having a good offense for once? Wait a minute. I thought that was illegal for the Bears to have a good offense. Even Caleb Williams is like 270-something 5 yards or some shit away from 4,000 yards passing yards, which would be the first time the Bears had a 4,000-yard QB in their franchise history. Also, the Bears having a good franchise QB? Wait a minute. I thought that's been illegal since the 40s when Hitler was still alive. Yeah, I think we kind of fucked up the timeline here. But anyway, Bears, the number 5 ranked offense. They're 11th in the pass game, but they have the number 3 rushing game in the league. Because, yeah, Ben Johnson saw what made Detroit successful and brought that over to Chicago. So, yeah. The Bears, however... Anyway, the Bears defense, though, they have the 27th ranked defense in the league. 21st against the pass, but they're 28th against the run. So, obviously, the big thing to stop the Bears is easily stop the run game. Because that seems to be most of their offense has been that run game. But you also got to look out for any of Ben Johnson's creativity, too. And really, the game plan, it really depends on how many starters play for the Bears, if any play. Because it seems like Ben Johnson's going to... Because from some of the rumors I've heard, Ben Johnson's going to play the starters for this game, which is like, why? He should not be playing starters in this game. Anyway, as I was saying here, because my cat was interrupting me during the recordings there. But anyway, back to the game, though. You know, the Bears' offense, a lot of it goes on the run game. You know, it really depends on how many starters play. Because at the moment, it's rumored that Ben Johnson's going to have the starters play, which is like, why? Why would you play the starters in a meaningless game? That's kind of fucking stupid. Like, you're just asking for trouble in this situation. Like, honestly, in a meaningless game, you should not be playing starters. Like, honestly, this game doesn't really mean anything. Like, even if Detroit wins, it's just a win. It doesn't really matter. Even if, I know, some people are going to go and comment saying, oh, but if the Lions win, they get a winning record for 4 straight seasons. All I say to that winning record thing is, a winning record doesn't mean shit if you don't make the playoffs. And it definitely won't mean anything if you still finish last place in the North. Because, yeah, Detroit could finish 9-8 this year and still finish last in the North. Just because Minnesota has tiebreaker off head-to-head. And just think of this. If Detroit didn't blow it the last 2 weeks against Pittsburgh and Minnesota, this game would have been for the NFC North. Now instead of fighting for a division title, Detroit will be heading on the first flight to Cancun Monday morning after this game. Yeah, that's just the frustrating part. And the thing is, I'm not even ready for this season to end. But sadly, life doesn't always go according to plan. In terms of defensively, offensively, Lions need to establish the run game. Pretty much do what they did in Week 2 against the Bears, but simplify it. But I will say this, though. This game will not be a blowout like Week 2. This is not going to be the same Bears team the Lions beat the shit out of in Week 2. But I do think the Lions have a good chance to play spoiler, though, because, Detroit's going to be a lot more aggressive in this game. I think we're going to see Dan Campbell really pull his balls out and go for it a lot. We're going to see a lot of creativity because, the Lions got nothing to lose coming in this game. And like I said last week with the Vikings, a team with nothing to lose is a very dangerous team. And I think the Lions are going to show out this week, which will just add more frustration to the last couple weeks. Where I think the Lions are going to win. I think the Lions will win this game. I think Dan Campbell wants to stick it to Ben Johnson one more time before heading off to Cancun. And probably soften the Bears up for the playoffs. But, yeah, just, if the Lions win, it'll just be more frustration thinking, what could have been because, the Lions could have potentially won the North if they handled their business the last couple weeks. Instead, the Lions are going to be stuck watching the playoffs from Cancun or on the couch. That's just the frustrating part. Just another frustrating season. There's going to be a lot of changes for sure in the offseason. It's going to be a one long-ass offseason, that's for sure. But yeah, a game that really doesn't have much impact in terms of playoff implications. I mean, outside of seeding, but honestly, who really gives a fuck about seeding? Like, if you're good enough to go win the Super Bowl with Lombardi this year, then it shouldn't matter what seed you are. You should be able to win anywhere, anytime, no excuses. But anyway, let's go. But anyway, I mean, if we win, it's just bragging rights and just saying we still own the Bears. But it won't matter really too much. Like, this game doesn't really matter much for both teams. Because Chicago's in the playoffs. Detroit's going home after this game. Just, yeah. It's going to pretty much be a perfect end capsule to a pretty frustrating season. But anyway, that wraps it up here. And I'll see you all later. And as always, go Lions.